ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League 2019
All right.
season. I'm Achilles, back
So
on the cast
basically
with
what this is, we have the first match completed for the Washington Justice. It was right here, this match against the New York Excelsior. Just happened, what's it, I guess yesterday now? February 16th. And what I wanted to do is just kind of take another look back at it and see what went right, see what went wrong, what can be learned from this match. Because, you know, honestly, it wasn't that bad of a showing, all things considered, from the Washington Justice. Now, anybody who's watched other videos that I have, you probably know, I've mentioned this several times, that not only am I a big fan and player of Overwatch, but I'm also a huge fan of the Overwatch League, and I've been following it since before the beginning, since the first World Cup, and I don't know, I'm a huge fan, I'm a big supporter of it. So Washington Justice is going to be a team for me, one of the teams I'm going to be rooting for and following. In fact, I did get to watch this match from the watch party, the official watch party for the Washington Justice. So this will be the first time that I've watched it back since then, yesterday. So again, having said all of that, it wasn't that bad of a showing. Justice was not expected to get a single map off of New York. It was supposed to be a 4-0 sweep, and it turned out being a 3-1 victory. Justice did get a map, and there was potential. If there weren't some mistakes made, there was potential they might have gotten a second. So we'll take a look at that as it goes along. First off, though, let's take a look at their introduction here. Gotta love the colonial hats. I mean, representing the Washington area. Corey leading up front. He's got some confidence in that walk. You see that? I wonder how long he practiced his walkout for the Overwatch League. I don't know. He's done it before. He's fine. In fact, half of them, Guido, Janice, they've done it. Yeah, so originally people said Janice. I've been hearing more and more the past week, more and more people saying Janice. So I don't know for sure which one's correct. I'm just by habit usually going to say Janice, but if that is incorrect, I will be happy to fix that. Actually, so let's take a quick pause here for a second. So a large part of Washington's issue right now, as I see it, is that right now we're in a GOATS meta, obviously. And just in case anybody isn't aware of what that means, typically that means for your team, you will play 3 tank heroes and 3 support heroes. And that way you get a lot of armor, and you combine that with constant healing, and it's pretty hard to take down one of your opponents because of that. And that's based off of the current patch and the updates that they make to the characters and whatnot. Anyway, part of what's interesting about this with Justice is right now we have 2 tanks, right? And that's fine. You know, it's good that we have the tanks, but we have, let me get a different, oh, no, not that color. I want to get a different color. For DPS here, we've got Corey and Addo. Stratus is another DPS player, but he will be coming into the lineup a little later date. And then for support here, we have Guido and Phozix. Phozix will be replaced eventually in this match by Hyanu, I believe is pronounced. Again, correct me if I'm wrong for that. But this is what our lineup is, okay? So the thing is, for the tanks, these are the 2 we have. Now, Corey, some teams like with San Francisco Shock, Sinatra is a DPS player. He's also made a name for himself in the early days at the second World Cup for his Zarya play. And he was known for getting his ultimate super quickly because of that. To the best of my knowledge, Corey and Addo are not particularly known for their tank play. And only one of them is going to be tank anyway, because we got Janice here on Reinhardt. That's pretty much a guaranteed. Sansim here, pretty much guaranteed to be on Diva, which means either Addo or Corey has to fill the Zarya spot. So that's pretty much going to go to Corey. He'll be our Zarya. Okay? So which means these 3 here have to be our supports for this current meta. So that means Addo DPS is going to be a support. He's going to be doing Brig most of the time. Phozix and Guido are supports. Are just going to play the other supports. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. And if you look at the strengths of each of these players, it's very different. So Corey's strength, it is in the DPS role. Your Sombras, Widowmakers, Tracers, that kind. Addo, his DPS, he is going to excel in a dive type of meta. So if we ever get back to that, that'll be awesome. Your Genjis, Tracers, Widowmakers, and so on. That would be awesome. And Stratus, when he starts playing, he's going to cover like the Pharahs, I would imagine like the Doomfist, those kinds. It'll be awesome. Our DPS is going to rock once you get those past that GOATS meta. It's just not a strong point right now. Fazix, he's got like the Ana type covered. Guido, the Zen. Hyunu, he's got the Our Mercies covered. And then, again, these are the only 2 tanks that we have on the team, which is fine. Main tank, Janice here. Off tank, Sansam. Typically, the Ryan Diva. You can expand beyond that. I know Janice isn't a big fan of playing Winston, but if we need it, which will be needed in the future, I'm guessing he's going to be one to fill that role. So anyway, just based off of our player, the Washington Justice players and their strengths, Goats is not where it's at for us, as far as I can see. Anyway, that was just a quick explanation. Let's move on from there.
Corey and Sansam. Yes. To see how these guys are going to be faring going up against what you expect here in the
See, in the New York Excelsior, they have a bigger roster than Washington has.
The New York Excelsior.
So a lot of their dive stars like Sebiolbi and Pine aren't even playing tonight. Like, their tanks are fine. Tanks are playing tanks. Not an issue. But I have and Jonak, I think enough said there just by his name. He was the Season 1 MVP for the Overwatch League. Libero, he's a very versatile DPS, so he can cover that Pharah fine. He can also move on to that Brig and all that. It's not an issue. And on top of their roster being broader and having more options, they also have a ton of experience. They were the #1 team overall last season. Yeah.
Much like they did during the inaugural season. But New York Excelsior gotten that first day back on the stage. They're coming in with a little bit more experience here for this season.
A little bit more experience. That's the understatement of the day. They're the #1 experience in the league because they were the #1 team last year. And Washington Justice, this is their first game in the Overwatch League playing as a team. Now, obviously, these guys know what they're doing. Some of them had some games last year with the Overwatch League, but they weren't starters. It's like Addo with Shanghai Dragons. He didn't even play the whole season. He was brought in during the course of the season. And Janice with the NYXL from last year hardly saw any playing time because it wasn't suited to the rest of the team. Guido saw some time with Seoul Dynasty, but again, he wasn't with the Toby and Jaehong support line.
We're going back to a meta that suits his strengths on that Rhine.
Alright, so Ilios here is being the first map that they had was not the best starting point for Justice. And I feel like a lot of what happened was just rookie mistakes. So, combined with just the experience of the NYXL. Now, I will say, Justice improves and they get a lot better as it goes. They start... I don't know if it's just that they got the rust off or what, but it definitely gets better as it goes for them. But this first map, pretty one-sided in the side of New York.
Whether you're going for Rhine versus Rhine or Winston versus Rhine, the Reinhardt going to give you more of an anchor on the center of the map. You can operate around that side room better than the Winston can if you can get it first, but the Winston's going to give you more mobility,
right, hold
more
on a second
flexibility
here.
to harass the back.
First thing, we'll take a quick look at their compositions that they have. So if you'll notice, they are almost identical. Okay, really the only difference that they have, Janice here, main tank on Reinhardt, Mono here, main tank on Winston. Now what's important about that is that not only does New York have more mobility, but this map, this point, is in a ditch, right? Like everywhere you look around this point is high ground. So which one do you think? The mobile Winston who can jump up and down around the place, or the Reinhardt who has very limited mobility in comparison? Which one do you think is going to be doing better for this point? I personally would go with Winston.
Mono will lock in the Winston here after showing that Reinhardt initially, so it's that matchup between him and his former teammate Giannis here, who's going to look to get control of the center first and hold on tight.
So at first point, watch as Washington, they kind of circle around each other, but New York has more cover. They have more options to drop down and still be in cover. Washington, they're just trying to compensate for whatever's going on. And here you can see New York is starting to spread out a little bit, kind of have positional advantage. And this is huge right here too, okay? Because the first pick, statistically, the first pick of the match is most of the time who wins that team fight. And that is hugely important here as well because you have Jonak taking out Guido and it's Zenyatta taking out Zenyatta. So not only does New York have the first pick, statistically they're going to win, but their first pick is on a support hero. So again, most likely they're going to win. So what does Justice do at this point? Either they need to have, at this point, because if you look at Jonek's position in comparison to the rest of the team, they're going to need to have either the whole team get aggressive and just storm New York right now and probably expect to lose, or have someone like Corey devote resources to taking out Jonek and making it even. But if that doesn't happen, they're going to lose. Try to do some damage, build your ults back up, but just expect to lose this one.
Take it down. Just opening things up here for NY. They push forward, get the first cap here onto the point. Justin still playing forward. Trying to maybe turn this one around. They take Mono quite low.
So they go Libero taking out Otto. Again, there's another support taking out another support. Meko taking out. So they're matching. They're doing trades and matching. Now, Corey did a pretty good job of taking out Mono there, but it doesn't make a difference because then Corey died. So the respawns are going to be the same. Mono is going to be back in this fight as soon as Washington Justice gets back to it as well. Except now, not only does New York have 25% of the capture already, but they get to set up and fortify however they want. Mono's still on the Winston. Janice is still on the Reinhardt. They're still at a disadvantage as far as compositions. Now, Washington's doing a good job of trying to take the appropriate side now to take the fight. But what's happened right here? Oh, come on, let me try to pause this. What happened right then, and it's still going on. Look at the placements, okay? Initially, let me pull this nifty tool here. Initially, Justice was up here, and Janice was already over here. He was down in the pit when the rest of the team was up here fighting. So he was ahead of the rest of them, out of position, which, I mean, if he's not going to be there to be the shield, then kind of what is he doing? He's not going to do that much damage on his own, while the rest of New York is dancing all around the area. Okay? Now, move on to this point, and we still have the same issue. Justice now dropping down to where Janice was is all over here. And now he's still all on his own, still not doing much. So Sansam over here has to use his defense matrix to help protect the rest of the team over here. But the issue, angle, 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 angle. They're coming from every way. Janice can't do anything to defend the rest of the team, and they're attacking from every angle. So once again, just by setup, this is a lost fight.
Onto the Reinhardt, jump over the side, Shadow going to be coming down, only managed to find one. Nama will be able to stand back up, and the Reinhardt's going to be taken down. Mono trying to stay alive, Primal Rage going to be popped, Transcendence will go ahead and burn him back up, so he will be quite safe.
Now, this was a pretty decent effort to try to stay alive by Justice, but again, there was nothing that they could do just by the setup of the fight. They'd already lost.
One of the weak points of the Rhine on attack when you are trying to assault a point like this.
And so, again, I'm not going to keep pausing it this much, but just trying to give some level of insight. Let's take a look at their ultimates and how they're going. So right now, Justice has these three all support ultimates. They have no tank or therefore damage-based ultimates, right? Now, New York, they have almost a support, okay? So they'll be able to survive the non-existent onslaught from Justice because they have no other support other than support. And what they can do is they can do a Graviton Bomb, okay? So Nene throws out his Graviton, catches Justice in a Graviton Bomb, or a Graviton Surge. Meko throws in his Diva Bomb. That's about it. Otto's ult isn't going to change that. Transcendence might, but as you see, it depends. He's fallen pretty easy, at least at first in this match, so don't know if we can count on that or not. Which leaves the sound barrier for Kha'Zix. And we'll see what happens there, but he doesn't really have a chance to do that either here in a minute.
You're really reliant on that speed boost. You have no mobility compared to the Winston, so your approach is pretty transparent. It's very
and they got staggered pretty bad there. All right. Now, actually, I do see that Sansam, his ult was a little bit wrong because he was out of mech, and now he does have a Diva Bomb. So that's good, but he's probably going to want to save that to combo with something else if it's going to be most effective. So the positioning, look at New York's getting pretty confident and aggressive right here. And with them having the high ground over a tightly grouped Justice, and again, Winston versus Reinhardt, it's not much of a competition with this setup. So there, you saw Nene and Meko use their combination of the Graviton Surge and the Diva Bomb, and nothing you can do. And at that point, it's over. They got their first point.
For the Excelsior, we talked about Giannis's proclivity to run the Reinhardt over the Winston. And if you took a look at that last fight, as you said, the high ground controlled by New York, that's the
I like that
sign.
You
need that verticality. You need
Homemade
the
Justice
the
sign.
jump pack that Winston has, you're not going to be
again, this is the first time I've watched this since I was at the watch party, so I don't always, you know, it's on a big screen. There were a lot of people there. It was awesome. I recommend going to them if you ever have the option. Whatever the team, try to go to your watch parties. But so there may be some things I'm noticing I did not get to see there the first time, but I just got some new software with this drawing on screen. Thought I'd give it a try and see what kind of analysis we can do. Not trying to be Jane, never going to be as good as Jane, but you know, like I said, we'll see what we can do.
Nobody does it like Jonak, man. He is.
All right, so let's take a quick look at the comps here. Now, as you're seeing this time, different from last time, they are exactly the same. All right, and in fact, their setups are almost exactly the same. Look at Janice Mono mirroring each other. That he just had his shield up a second ago, but they're mirroring each other. Okay, behind Corey on Zarya, Nene on Zarya. Sansan back there is Diva, Jonak right there with the Zen. Jonak, I think, is back here with the Zen. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, they're mirror compositions, okay? So right now, it's going to come down to who executes better and who gets better positioning.
One of a kind type of player.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sansan was up there on the top, but anyway. First kill is going to be huge in this. Who's going to get it? There you go. Mono took out Kha'Zix, a tank taken out of support. Now, their own tank is gone. It is already finished. You know, New York won this fight. And consequently, they're going to get first cap as well.
This is a rough look. Giannis, if you look at his ult charge with
see, there he's going with Giannis. I need to look into it to see which is correct, because it's my understanding that that is not a Korean pronunciation to be Giannis. So, like, maybe he just said that's how he prefers it or something. I don't know. I could be wrong. We'll see. So there was an attempt there. You know, let's real quick. Let's take a look at what they were attempting there. So here, New York has the high ground, right? And let me get a different color. Justice is over there trying to come in. Now they have to make a decision. Either they're going to come in this way and attack the point, in which case Excelsior just drops down and they're done. All right. Or, I love my new software. Or Washington comes in this way, pushes them off the point, in which case New York falls down, and then Justice has the high ground. That's the better idea. However, there's one issue, and that's Animo right here. If Justice is not aware of him, even if Justice pushes New York off the point, Animo pushes Justice off this high ground, and then there's a brawl down here, and New York's pretty confident that they're going to win that brawl. As we'll see here in a minute, it actually does not work, fortunately. But that was their idea. And if it had worked properly, I say fortunately, yeah, I'm a big fan of the New York Excelsior, but Justice is first and foremost because I got to root for my team.
Here is so much damage will be taken by the Justice,
Justice made the right decision by trying to force them off the high ground. And I want to say that was Kha'Zix perhaps who knocked him off. That was very, very good game sense to do that. So now they did not rush fast enough. See how much they hesitated, and they had to figure out what they were going to do. They let New York reset essentially and kind of get their own strategy going. Huge shatter right there. Now Sansan taking out Mono, that was another huge exchange. This is Janice's opportunity to make a difference with the team fight. Okay, New York didn't even, I don't remember all the details, but New York didn't even really press that too much. I don't know if it's because they're waiting for the respawn and they figure they can afford a few percent exchange or not. All right. We're going to talk about what they just did. Again, this is another huge part about the ult exchange. So what do we have? We're about to have Graviton Surge, Sound Barrier, possibly both tanks as well. We already have the trance, okay? Jonak has trance. They're about to have Sound Barrier as well. They're closer. I mean, about the same as there. Won't take him much to get it. And this. Okay, so let's compare. Sound Barrier, Justice has it. Here, not only does Justice have it, but they're already using it. Therefore, New York has the advantage. Here, Justice has it. Here, Justice is a little bit closer, but we'll see how they do. Closer on this, and already has it here. So ultimately, they're pretty similar, but New York has a slight advantage, and with Guido already using trance right now, they suddenly have the advantage because of the timing of it. Now, I don't know what he saw that made him use it so early. I don't know if it was a panic or he saw something wrong or what's going on, but he did use it. New York has the advantage with the ultimate fight right now.
It's a huge problem because now there's no answer to the grab.
Yeah, no, there is not. Throws it down, locks up Corey. Bomb's going to be coming through on the inside, looking for a pickoff. Will not be able to find one. Group comes out. Corey going to be going off the side of the map. LeBron finds that. Flip. You would expect
I probably need to start doing a better job of talking while the video's going, because otherwise it'll take forever for doing it that way.
Take a 6v5 fight in terms of damage output. Even though there was a trance there, they knew it would have to be used early because they needed that healing output to survive the fight. But then the follow-up grab comes through. Very nicely done. Very much willing to give the point away.
So here, Washington's trying the same type of thing. Where they're going to use the high ground, drop down, see what kind of damage they can do. New York is retreating. Now that's a little bit concerning, because if they're giving space to Justice, that means they know they're going to take it back by force.
We'll go ahead, open things up. Shatter's going to be coming down from
Now Shatter was kind of wasted there based off of positioning. Good exchanges here, okay? Like the ideas and the concepts are good exchanges. Now Samson's bomb didn't do quite as much as he probably would have liked, but ultimately it worked out pretty well. He did get the Diva out of her mech, and he got his support. So right now we have New York at 75%, Justice at almost 50%. So they're still a little bit behind, but they have control of the point. Now this is very important, their setup, okay? Again, I'm trying not to pause too much, but their setup. Look at New York, they're coming in, they're not going for the high ground up here. They're just going to come in, they're going to try to storm the point and take anybody they can with them. Who do we have to defend right now? I'm going to quote an Eric Carmen song here. Okay. This is the biggest problem I feel that they had in the first map here on Ilios. Right now, the entire New York team is coming in to do this, and we only have Janice here. Now, other people I'm sure are about to come on in and back him up and have this support line behind him. But isn't it a little late at this point when they're already about to storm in? If you don't already have people taking the fight to them at this choke right here, you're not in good position.
As they rotate around here, Giannis cannot get picked though. He's very far out, looking for that shatter.
Needs to kite his way back.
And now you have New York attacking Janice from all sides. Do you see? They sent some Diva and other players to the left while they were still storming from the right. So he was surrounded from the beginning. Still no other Justice to be seen. Now, New York is being very patient right here. They're letting Justice kind of play around for a minute, and then when they decide to attack, they're going to go in and make it happen. To seal the deal on the kill. Remech kill rather from Mecco takes out Corey. And now this is the problem I have with what Corey just did by using that Graviton Surge. And I don't know if it was a panic, if he's like, oh no, we just got advantage, we're going to lose it, let's try to get this back. I'm not sure what he was doing with that, or if he just saw a bunch of them together, like, you know, Zarya's eyes blinked gold and they were like, hey, let's go for it. But this is the issue that they have with that. New York just used trance, okay? They don't have shatter. They might have that by the time that they get their next fight. They'll probably have sound barrier. But you're looking at mainly this being your competition. Okay, what does Justice have? They're going to have sound barrier equal out. If I remember correctly, they had, prior to all this going down, they were going to have... I want to say that they were going to have that back. I could be wrong. I might have to look back to remember. But you save that, okay? You save that to combine with... make your ult stronger than what they have, because they just used some to win that fight. So you save what you have, try to pull the same thing that they did, win the fight by going back again. You're out of options at this point because you can't do that. Let's see. Oh no, it looks like Samson's at 81%, so that is my bad. I do still feel like Corey should have held on to that for a next fight, especially if you look at Nene's. But again, it wasn't the worst thing he's done.
They're going to use the barrier to engage. All Excelsior has to do is live through that part of the.
Now New York has the advantage at 91 to 89. We'll see what happens here. See, there goes Fozix. You have no support. You don't have sound barrier. That was the thing that they had. They were going to use. Now that it's overtime, okay. Now let's take a look. See, yeah, this is. Oh wait, no. When I said it was my bad, I'm sorry. I was right. I don't know what I'm talking about. He does have bomb now. Okay. Most likely, Fozix still would have died either way. So you couldn't have that. But Addo is using his ult. Okay. So if Corey still has his, still don't have trans, still don't have sound barrier, they still don't have their own rally. In fact, they got nothing right now. Okay. So if Corey still had his graviton surge, if he hadn't used that, and I presume a panic perhaps last time, even without Fozix, that's okay. Because you can go into the point, use your graviton bomb, take out whoever you can with it. Let's just say 2 people. Just randomly cross out 2 people. That way it's 5v4. You still have the advantage with Fozix gone. Armor coming through. By the time armor's coming through, if you do a good enough job, you have trance then. So if you properly coordinate your ults, Corey still had graviton surge, you could probably win this fight.
That OT, it's going to be taken away. They have to get in right now if they want to flip this around. Charge through, for be honest, but he's
now that honestly, I'm not sure what he was thinking by doing that. You should never charge, especially in overtime when it's clutch. You need to work as one unit. Individuals are not going to win you in overtime unless you're Fleta on Widowmaker or Carpe or something like that. So by Janus storming onto the point there, all he did was expose himself for an elimination. Exactly what happened. So overall, I feel like Justice shows some good mechanics and a couple of good reactions, like when I think it was Fozix who booped Animo off of the top when he was trying to boop them off the high ground. Like, that was great. That was great thinking, great brains. I know that's part of the reason Fozix is probably on the team, because of his game sense and his mind. But you can do a little bit better than that. I feel like a lot of the mistakes that were made, either Janus being too far ahead of the rest of the team, or maybe Corey's potential, I don't want to call it a false use of graviton surge or a panic use, because maybe it wasn't. But if that's what it was, these are kind of like rookie mistakes, things that you are going to learn from. And that's one of the other things I want to mention here real quick. I do plan to skip the in-between stuff and just get back to the gameplay footage. But one of the best things, as hard as it sounds, one of the best things about playing your first game against the New York Excelsior, the best team in Season 1, is that you're going to hopefully have all of your errors exposed at the same time. So if you started your first match against the Florida Mayhem, especially if you might end up winning that game, and if you do, you don't get much shown to you as far as where you need to improve. When you play against the Philadelphia Fusion, the London Spitfire, the New York Excelsior, which are, by the way, the first 3 matches that Washington Justice have, when you play against that top quality team, they lay out for you your weaknesses and they show you what you need to do to work on it. So in a way, it's almost a blessing in disguise that we have New York first, because this way, like, everything I'm pointing out, I might not have been able to see to point out against someone like Florida Mayhem. So in a way, it's kind of good that we're having this opportunity to work on our issues the first game of the season, so that hopefully we're even stronger for the second against the London Spitfire, whatever they're able to expose, being the grand finals champions last week. Hopefully we'll, and I'll get more toward this at the end actually too, but we'll see, because right now London's 0-2. Goats is not their meta either, just like I don't believe it's ours. So it might be a little bit interesting next week to see how that plays out. But anyway, let's go ahead, skip ahead a bit. Let's find King's Row here. All right. Now we're watching this back on Twitch, as you can see on the screen, I'm sure. I'm really enjoying this. I don't know if anybody's going to watch this, but I am really enjoying this actually, because I have a coach's mindset. I used to coach a high school football team, and I love the game of Overwatch. So I am very happy to be doing this right now. It's kind of giving my own personal insights on how I feel what's going right, what's going wrong, and so on. If you enjoy it, please let me know, because I would be thrilled to do more of these. I don't want to waste my time if 2 people think it's only okay. You know what I mean? But But let me know, because I'm having a blast with
at
this.
the moment the Orisa, but I don't think that will be long term. Nope.
So I feel like Guido right here, he's just going to give that Sonic Arrow to... Oh yeah, I'm saying the same thing with the commentator. Alright, so this is going to be the actual comps here. And as you see, just like we had at the last map, they are identical. Now, what happened the last time was some positional advantage, some panicking perhaps, those types of things put Washington at a disadvantage. But that was for a control map. This is for attack. Attack versus defend, okay? So with the same comps, you need, if you're Washington, you need to do something smart, something unexpected, something kind of out of left field, or positionally great to knock New York off their game. So how are you going to do that? Either you switch the comps, because obviously they're prepared for the one you have because they're doing the same thing. So either you switch comps, do something out there like a quad DPS or something, at least give it a shot. That way, even if you don't stick with that comp, you're making them think. They're not going through the motions like they are right now. The other thing that you can do is if you keep the same comp, you have to take positional advantage. And the only way to do that on Kings Row when you're attacking point A is right here. So you go up this way, head on up the stairs, head on through, jump across. Okay? If you really wanted, you could try the other comp that I think it was the Gladiators perhaps who first did that. Let me take this back here. Where, especially with your Lucio and your Vine taking the foreground, you speed on through here, you go around the back, and then take this high ground back here. What's both behind this building and right here. It takes a little while, but it's good advantage. The only issue I have with that is, like I said, I think it was the Gladiators and Outlaws I think have done it. It's already been done. New York is going to be aware of that. They're going to know how to counter that. I would stick with the tried and true and either go up here and try to get your advantage or try a comp that they're not going to see, make them think. And even if you switch off that comp, they're not going to necessarily know what you're coming at with them next. You might lose your alts early on, but where are they now? 2, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1. So you're not really going to lose a whole lot if you try something crazy at first.
Edge in the Reinhardt versus Rhine. He's been struggling. He's been aggressive.
So right now, look at Washington. They're just kind of stalling out. Now they're committing to go around the side. But New York, they know that. They saw it go down. They're reacting. He's throwing his fire strike up there. It's really not an issue for them at all because there was a little bit of hesitation. If you're going to do something to try to flank or get the high ground, you need to commit. Get your Lucio with the speed boost, your Reinhardt. Don't stop. Just go.
Corey, one of the only players who can't really get back up there once.
And I'm pausing it again. But here's the other thing. They did that to try to get the high ground, right? And who's on the high ground? Corey. That's it. That's all it is. You have your 2 tanks on this side. They're supposed to be at the foreground, right? But you only have 2 tanks on this side. 2 supports over here separated. And then your other tank up here. Now, he stayed up because once he's down, he can't get back up, you know? Sam, he can get back up there. Fozix can get back up there. Addo and Janet, it might be harder for them to get there as well. But he, with his projectile, can really get onto the point and past if he really wants to. So it's good for them to be up there, but they should all still be up there too. They weren't ready to commit to this. Because look at New York. Let's make it blue for New York there. They're all still cluttered together. Not taking really any damage. And they're just waiting this out to see what Washington does next.
He jumps down, so he's trying to stay up as long as possible. Gets a better angle for right clicks as well.
And onto the point, they take up just a little bit, but have to just keep playing footsies here on the point. Inching forward,
so it's like they're dancing back and forth. They're kind of teasing each other. They're just waiting for Washington to make a mistake that New York will take advantage of. And that's something I want to point out too. I think that is the biggest strength that the New York Excelsior has that I noticed last year from the Overwatch League is they are patient. And they will wait. They'll do their thing, and they will wait for you to make a mistake. Then they will exploit it before you even know you made a mistake. And then they win their fights. Go from there.
New York just really staggering in and out to prevent that tick. They're going to come in once again right before the tick is complete.
Just like the commentators are saying. They'll let Washington take some, then they commit, put them back off the point. Washington never gets a tick.
Oh, they locked down Corey by himself. That's going to be the Transcendence out. Guido can't even keep Sansam.
Now that was a good attempt. What Sansam did there, he tried to fly in to provide his defense matrix to Corey, who was still right here in the Graviton Surge, but he was too late. Corey was already down by the time he got there, so all he did was expose himself to the Graviton Surge, and now they're 2 down. They've already lost the team fight. Oh, hold on. I didn't make all this yellow because it's, well, whatever. You get what my point is.
Up. So they go ahead, they lose that massive support ultimate.
Okay, I'm going to start stopping this less because it's taking forever.
The person who uses their Transcendence last always has the advantage because they have the longer healing throughput.
But just take a quick look at the ultimates right now.
They waited too long. They lost it. Then
all that New York lost was Graviton Surge. They have everything else, including Trance, and that's huge. Washington, they're about to have most of them, but they don't yet, and they don't have Trance. So that's going to be a huge difference, especially when Jonak has Trance versus Guido. Nothing against Guido, but Jonak, there's a reason he was the Season 1 Overwatch League MVP. As a support player / DPS. I mean, we all know the truth.
I mean, he might end up lapping Corey at the moment. Corey only going to be at 84% at the moment. Rally's going to be coming out from Libero.
See, here's the thing. Remember, real quick, remember how Graviton was the only thing New York didn't have because they just used it? Well, he's at 56%. He's almost caught up to Corey already.
Just keep playing right on the edge. Neither team looking to commit.
New York, or Washington right now isn't really committing. They're not taking the fight to New York. They're being very apprehensive and cautious. I understand why. But so is New York. And New York being patient, that's what I said earlier. They're going to wait for you to make a mistake. So if you're being patient too, you're giving them more time and more opportunity to just take a look at what you're doing, expose the opportunities that are given.
Looking for the pick. Not going to be able to find it. Becco gets the Baby Diva with a self-destruct of his own. Denying that remake, and New York Excelsior now might be able to make this fight work, and it seems like they will be able to because Nene comes up with a double kill.
Now, Washington has no ults at all. New York doesn't either, but watch how they're building.
They realistically have one more solid.
Look at the difference between the building. That's because New York keeps getting the damage and they keep doing the kills.
Rally from Otto, as once that finishes, he'll be able to build a grab before Jonak has Transcendence. That's their best option here, but it's a very tight window. Much easier said than done. The execution for New York Excelsior, playing back, not engaging until the last second, makes it so difficult for Washington to actually even get that last 30%.
It's almost like right here, no one's willing to take the lead and start charging in. And again, and I get it. I'm not faulting them for that. This and so something like this would probably work against like Florida. Not to keep picking on Florida, but that might happen. But with New York, you got to remember who you're playing, and having that level of hesitation and caution, you're gonna pay for it.
That's what they needed. It's just simply not going to happen. Very well played by the Excelsior. It feels like almost abusing game mechanics, stepping in and out.
So not a single take for Justice there. Excellent defense from New York. Hesitant about skipping too far ahead here, but I'm not skipping enough.
And now New York Excelsior have all the time in the world to just get a single tick on A to make this a 2-0.
Just like you said right there, New York just needs a single tick, and they win King's Row. Okay. Now, in theory, this should have been a good map for Justice because of Giannis with his Reinhardt play. King's Row is a pretty good map for that, but we just didn't see. Normally he's so aggressive with his Reinhardt, and we really didn't get that much this time.
There's no room for mistakes here on Washington Justice. If they lose a single member to a Reinhardt charge from Mono, it's all over.
Now you'll see Justice is more forward than New York was with their defense. They're trying to be more aggressive and more up front with it. The only problem is, as soon as you get someone behind, you're screwed if you stay up front, and that's exactly what's happening. All of New York is going up top, and Washington is letting them take it, and they're committing. Look at this. They're committing to this fight. They're not stalling or hesitating back and forth. They're going. They're making it happen. They're taking the fight to Washington, and they're making Washington defend themselves. And all they need is a tick.
Push back out here with the rest of his squad, but New York Excelsior, they're in onto the point. The cap's nearly gone through already. He gets pooped off. They almost just
and there it is.
Oh my goodness gracious!
That's almost like a flashback to South Korea in the first World Cup, where it was at times it was embarrassingly one-sided. Some of these fights. So that was just kind of reminiscent of that. So at this point, it was pretty well determined that most people were thinking, yeah, the 4-0 is going to happen. New York's going to get that 4-0. However, I said this to people at the watch party. Let's not forget that Wizard Hyung is the head coach of the Washington Justice. Not only does he know New York pretty well, but he, to me, is one of the better coaches when it comes up to adaptive strategies. So New York as a team on the go, they're excellent at adapting to situations. But Wizard Hyung as a coach, when he gets to talk to his players, is excellent at getting adaptations at that point. So let's skip on ahead here, see what we got happening.
I mean, I really just playing.
Something really exciting happened here. It made a lot of people happy. Let's see, it's when they demonstrate goats.
And you know, we've seen I've gotten tweeted a lot like, hey, three
Here it
supports, and everyone's just scattering everywhere.
Everyone's going to want to watch
I figured we'd
that
teach you
side of the
guys
screen over
how
there.
to
Again,
play
I'm pretty happy
with a
about
three-tank,
demonstrating my new
three-support
tools here.
combination. So for the sake of the demonstration, I'll be the Reinhardt for
Are you sure?
for the half.
Mr. X is
Shouldn't I be the
Reinhardt.
taller person?
Yeah, I should be Reinhardt. You Reinhardt?
I mean, we're both very short. I'll be Reinhardt.
All right, let's go.
You know, they're going to need a
Diva.
fourth
You
person,
can be
though, right?
Reinhardt today. I'll be
Uh,
I
Reinhardt.
wonder who's that
I
going to be.
automatically call Zarya because
Yes.
Zarya's Bay.
Okay,
Matter of fact,
so-
I even got a
If you
prop
didn't
for
see
this.
this,
This is my
and
gun.
if you watched the first
we-
season of
we
the
need
Overwatch
bubbles,
League,
obviously,
you're going to be
starting
excited
Yeah, you know.
about
let's
who
see,
is about to
you
happen
created
or
bubbles.
like a-
help
like an
demonstrate
opposing Reinhardt.
goats
An
here.
opposing Reinhardt.
Yeah,
Who
Go
would
on.
be a
yeah,
good?
Reinhardt.
I know the perfect person who could be an opposing Reinhardt.
Someone else for a Reinhardt?
Reinforce. So, Justice for Reinforce. How appropriate is this? The first Washington Justice map. And Reinforce is back. I know. Justice for Reinforce. Appropriate, right? I know. Okay, we're skipping back ahead here.
Yep, there you go.
After they finish with their antics. Okay, come on.
Right now in New York, Excelsior is just for a long time.
All right, so this is about to start Horizon Lunar Colony. This is the Horizon and Rialto are the two more important maps for Washington because they've had some time to talk about the mistakes that happened in the first 2 points, make some adjustments, and then I feel like when we take a look at this, see how they do here, will give us a better story of what we might see for the rest of the season. So long as Ghost is what's being played, at least. Once we start getting back into poke type or dive type or something, I think Washington's going to have some games where they really shine. Between Addo, Corey, and Stratus at their DPS positions. Get Hyunu, Guido, and Fozix at their comfort picks, you know. I really feel like they have a good chance to shine, but Ghost is not demonstrating that.
For the Justice. We will see Mono takes the Winston here for extra mobility with Nene on that signature tracer.
So they're going to change here. New York's
Very
team
much a
comps
lot
are going to
of threat.
change. But what's important about the way it is right now, DC, once again, they're still running that Ghost comp, okay? They're committing to that. New York, for Horizon, they're doing something different, okay? They are essentially doing pretty much a dive type of thing where they're going to have the tracer and the Sombra. Sombra is great for the intel, seeing what's going on. I think that's the one that's going to switch here to Farah, if I remember correctly. Nene on the tracer, then you got your supports and your dive tanks. Okay, but against Goats, they're probably not going to win that. So that's why I believe we're going to see them make some changes here in a second.
Onto the back line with this. Hyunu and Guido need to be careful about getting caught with Libero also now on this Sombra. They're going to swap it up.
So yeah, there goes Sombra switching to Libero. I'm sorry, switching to Sombra. Oh, I can't speak. Farah. Libero on Farah. Mono going to Wrecking Ball, Animo to Mercy. Meko now Sombra. So, you know, you see how they're doing? They're switching it all around. Let's check out their new comp and see how it compares. Okay, still goes. All right. But your healers, this is good because you have Jonak on Zen. Enough said. Animo can provide direct healing to each of these characters, especially Tracer and these two, who might need more intensive healing than Jonak would normally provide. Mercy can take care of that. You have a single tank. And honestly, this is kind of the issue. What New York is going to try is a good idea, okay? They're pretty much, it looks like they're going to be trying to send Nene after the supports. Mono taking care of everybody on point. Libero keeping everybody from being on the point. Mego to do the hacking for your tanks and shields and keep them from doing much. It's a good idea to try to dismantle them and kind of throw off Washington, but it's, to me, it's not quite going to work because Washington made a lot of adjustments in their positioning and their style. and we're going to see here how that works, but I feel like they have the better advantage right
This
now.
triple DPS style with the Wrecking Ball here. Very disruptive. Hard to actually keep your comp together against this.
Just trying to lock everybody
So
in
right now,
over
New
here.
York's already starting to take the
Something's coming
point,
down
and
from
this is
above.
the
Libero
idea that they had.
looking some
For
damage.
Farah
Matrix
to try to
does
keep
deny
them
away
off the
a lot
point
of
or
those.
punish them for being on the point.
Much.
Okay?
Yano, however,
It's a good idea. Again, it's not a bad
so
idea
far
here,
have not been able
but it's not taking into
to get
account
any
the
meaningful damage in, have not been able to
very
find a pick,
small
but they're
line of
onto the
sight
point,
that
gaining the
Farah
first
really
hit.
has.
Washington Justice, they have
You
to do
know?
something. They're still
It's like
just
right here, they're
siding
about to
away
speed
from
onto the
start.
point.
Moment, they finally start pushing forward. Yano nearly
With
getting
the right
caught
amount
up
of
the
healing. They
back.
have 3
Then he gets
healers,
dashed around
remember.
like a madman with that tracer, trying to find a pick off into the back
They're
line.
going to be a little bit
These 2-6
stronger in
games
this
for
fight.
New York Excelsior, playing this one out
Now, they
very
don't really
slowly.
have
Barrage
anybody
gonna be
to
online for
directly
Libero.
take on the
Now
Farah.
looking
That's
for
pretty
an
much going to be
opportunity.
Sansan.
Pop up the Matrix
But
has
you'll
to
see
be
here in a
by
little bit
Sansan, still not
when
gonna be going in.
Libero uses the
Working
barrage,
this on
Sansan
the
takes care of it.
Mobility is the name of the game for New York Excelsior's composition here.
So they're doing a
It's
decent
hard
job
for
of getting
Washington
some of the
Justice to
point
commit
here.
into a
You know, they got
fight
2
when
ticks
they're
already.
half health.
Barrage
But
is
check
right
this
here
out.
at the gate.
Sansan
Libero.
takes care of Barrage for
Feels like
Libero.
Nopi taking
He's off the
down
point.
man
They're
health.
back down to 2 points now.
It's going to be the only one that is able to find with that barrage. Transcendence now out from Guido onto the point. New York Excelsior healing back for the moment. Nene still going to be skirting around the point here.
Guido may regret using that trance there. Hyunder's going to have to run back to the point. That's what Nene's
So
looking
here,
for
this
right
was
now,
an idea
because
that they
Hyunder's gonna
had.
have that counter
Look at Nene
barrier
on
for the
Tracer
EMP
trying to
that's
keep
ready now,
Keanu
and
from
Nene's gonna
getting back to the rest of his
intercept
team,
right now.
trying to
Huge play by
hard
Nene to
stagger.
Get the kill.
And honestly, look at this. It
Has to
almost
use the
works.
recall. Yano's still just
But
gonna be healing
honestly,
up.
I was kind of impressed with Keanu because he's known for his Mercy play. I don't remember him being really known for his Lucio, but that was a good job at keeping Tracer from keeping you from the point.
Sound barrier's gonna be out from
Now,
the side of the Justice.
this right here is huge. Okay, this is huge right there. Anytime anybody can get Jonak, that's going to be huge. But especially when your own Zen takes him out, when he had Trance ready to go, that's huge. All right, now Guido just used Trance, and him taking out Jonak, he's at 60%. So that kind of helps forgive his previous use of Transcendence that he probably didn't have to do. Now, Nene is using his Pulse Bomb right now. Anamo is using Valkyrie. They're committing their ults to this fight right now, except for Jonak, but he just got eliminated, so he can't use his anyway. Now, it looks like Guido is hacked by Meko. They're not really committing many ults to it. You see Hyunu just use Sound Barrier. So it's kind of a trade back and forth with the ults, but already Washington's kind of ahead because Guido took out Jonak, and therefore Trance, they do have an advantage in this fight.
Guido does manage to find Jonak. Close bomb in. Yano's gonna be knocked down below half HP. The rest there from
Anamo
Anamo,
just
but
rose
right back
Jonak,
into
so
the
again,
action.
that does help, but at this
Justice still
point,
playing
it's a
along
little
the
bit late
point,
because
92.5%
Washington already has the
so far.
advantage by
New York
positioning, by
Excelsior
being
now
on the
losing
point,
Mono. Might
and
have
doing
to
the
take a
damage
step
that they were
back again
doing.
and try to
Jonak
reset.
has
They
to
did that.
catch up
Maintains
by
to
being
beat
rezzed.
Nene comes up with the kill.
Okay, it's still going to be stable here for Justice for the moment. Great play by Nene, though, to intercept Hyunu there. Absolutely god tier game sense.
That was like
Strong enough
900
so the EMP
IQ
doesn't come
for
up
Nene
big
to try
for
to do that,
Meko.
but it didn't work.
Lower and lower. That 100 energy here from Corey. Starting to hurt quite a bit. Getting closer to that Graviton Surge. Nearly has it ready to roll.
Okay, this
Picking
is
up the top.
a bit shaky now for the Excelsior, but they're going to have that EMP ready now for Meko. If he survives here, he's so low.
They use the Transcendence up from Jonak. Now they're not going to have that in response to Corey's Graviton Surge. So this is actually going to be a decent opportunity for Washington Justice to win in the next
Just
fight.
like he said,
Here's the
Jonak
counter
is at
to
6%
Meko, but
because he
he's
just
now
used
rezzed.
Trance.
EMP's got to be the X factor here.
That grabs out. Meko tries to get out of there.
Now that grab only caught one person, which was Anamo, right? But that's really kind of all you need, because, or was it Meko? I don't. Man, I'm having to remember. It was one of them, but he took them out, and then he took the other one out anyway. So it's all the same. Janice is pretty low here, as you'll see, but what happens there?
EMP, but he's going to get popped. Corey comes up with a double kill. Point starting to take up again. The barrage comes in from Libero. He's going to get a double.
They
this
use
time.
barrage
Looking
to
for a
take
little
out
bit more,
Keanu
pushes his
and
way
Janice.
back, but
Corey
gets
doesn't care,
another
though.
Double kill on top of it all, and Washington Justice continue to hold. And New York Excelsior, now they're down to just 30 seconds.
Very impressive stuff from the Justice. Now, this was a very scrappy set of team fights back to back. In terms of
So
set
I would say
plays,
right
in
now at
terms
this
of
point,
the chess pieces, New York Excelsior had
the
every advantage in
two
their first
players
two
for
maps.
Justice who
However,
helped
in
make
these
this
crazy, chaotic
happen
fights,
are
Washington
Corey
Justice is
and
coming
Guido.
up big.
Guido, not only did he have those couple elims just there, but taking out that Jonak who had Trance was huge. Because again, even though he was rezzed, he was at a disadvantage at that point in the fight. So that was huge, keeping New York from taking the point then. And Corey has had multiple highlights here where he seems like the main DPS, so to speak, of this GOATS. There he goes again, take it down Nene. Like he and Guido really seem, everybody's contributing to the fight here at the end, but for the overall match, those are the two who really, I think, saved the day for Justice on this map.
Is out, and that is going to be overtime ticking down.
Unbelievable from Kings Row to this. Washington Justice with Yano on the desk there.
See that there? From Kings Row to that. Huge difference, and that's what I was mentioning about Wizard Hero. I feel like that adaptability made a big difference. So we'll see. This is just one match, but it's one match against the New York Excelsior, and again, it says a lot. Keep skipping in little increments at a time, but again, I'm just nervous about missing too much. Oh, great. Why is it taking forever now? Well, anyway, what we're about to see, if this ever loads, is the final map, which is Rialto. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I take that back. Washington needs to attack on the horizon first. Come on now. I don't know what's taking so long. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to try something here. We are reloading this. Yeah, goodness gracious me. All right, so there are Overwatch League matches going on right now. I do not have that pulled up to play, but it's... I don't know. It is acting weird. It is not loading... like the web, like Twitch as a website is loading, but the video itself refuses to load right now. And I really didn't want to have to make this into 2 videos and put them in an editor to put them together. But we're getting closer. We might have to do that at this point because I don't want to just keep bursting out random gibberish and forcing you guys to listen to it. Let's try this one more time. Let's try to reload this here. Again, like the website itself, it's reloading fine. There are no issues, but the video is having issues. You know what? I think what I'll do at this point, we'll just... Wow, this is really boring, isn't it? Here, let's pull that up. All right. I think what we're going to do at this point is I'll just... Oh, let me... Oh, that's the full match. Game 4, Game 3. All right, I'm going to try to pull up Game 3 here. Let's see if this works. Okay, I give up. So what we're going to do, I'll just go ahead and kind of state what happens. For the second part of Horizon, Washington does end up winning that map. So they beat New York on Horizon, which is huge because, again, everybody saw the 4-0 coming from New York, and there were some bright spots again. Guido did a great job against Jonak and others on that map, but when you have a Zenyatta versus a Zenyatta, and one of them being Jonak, you're really looking at the performance of the other one, and he did a great job. So that went well for them. Now, the other thing, what I was going to point out about Rialto is 2 main things. So I'll just talk about them now instead. Both, well, one when Washington was attacking, and one thing about when Washington was defending. So the Washington attack started out okay. There was some promise there, but it felt a little bit like they weren't committing enough to making, like forcing the fight, bringing the fight to New York, making them use their abilities and their ultimates. You might lose once or twice, but if you don't use your ultimates, you make them use theirs. Even if you lose that fight, you have the advantage at the next one. And it just didn't really feel to me. This is all based off of memory now, because again, I'm not watching it because it's not working. But I felt like they were a little too hesitant, and because of that, New York kept getting more and more the advantage, to the point where New York was lining up right outside the spawn for Washington. But I feel like this is the time when Washington used New York's confidence against them, because they slipped around this side and they kind of flanked them to get back onto the point. That was a great move for them to do, because like I was mentioning early on, where they might try to come out with a crazy, quad DPS comp just to kind of make New York think and throw them off their game a little bit. This is basically what that did. It made them reconsider, not be quite as aggressive. It took advantage of the situation and their confidence at that time. Ultimately, they weren't able to get the map that far, and that's largely because they just kept losing the fights mechanically. And as far as how they approached things, again, it was a good try by Washington, but it just wasn't at the level of what New York was doing. Having said that, the defense that Washington had on Horizon was huge. So we were looking for that same type of defense against New York on Rialto. And to me, they had a chance at that. I feel they got far enough. They got point A on Rialto with their attack, and they were making their way underneath the bridge and around that turn on point B when they lost control of the payload. So they had the potential to have a full hold in that they didn't get the first point, or even if they did, they could have tried to hold them underneath that bridge before they got past, and so on. Now here to me was the biggest issue with Rialto, and the reason that Washington lost that map. They tried to take the fight to the front and to go to New York and keep them at bay, but they started to lose that. So they would retreat to the next geographically smart area. But by the time that they did that, New York was already there, so they couldn't set up or position themselves and fortify. So they would lose that fight. So then they would then back up to the next. And guess what? New York was already there with the payload, and they just kept doing that and kept giving them so much respect and just kept walking backward into the objective, like into the point, until they lost. They just kept walking back to the point where New York won. What I really would have wanted them to see once Washington, because they had some room to work with, being that they even had point A at all. So what I would have liked to have seen is, let New York, you can give them some respect, give them some space to work with, but you only do that if you can set up and position yourselves and fortify yourselves at a point to take advantage, use your geography, and defend the crap out of that point. But they never did that. They just kept walking backward and essentially letting New York just walk with the payload right up to the point and win the match. So to me, that's the reason that they lost Rialto. They had a chance, and that would have been huge if they had really been able to fortify and position themselves to really take that defense to New York like they did on Horizon. That would have been huge. It would have been 2-2. They would have gone to map 5. We'd still be talking about it today, about how whether they got the reverse sweep or not on map 5, even if they didn't, that would still be huge if New York sent it to a map, or if Washington sent the game against New York to a map 5. Then London next week, they'd have a lot to fear right now. And in a way, they still might, because they're 0-2 in the GOATS meta, and we at least took a map off of New York, so hey, there's something, right? But I don't know. It would be, it's much different to have a 3-2 match than a 3-1. So, anyway. That's just kind of overall some thoughts, and I got to use my new tools a little bit. I'm sorry that the video itself didn't work there toward the end. We only got like the first half, essentially, or a little bit more than the first half of the match checked out. If you are interested in more video actual analysis of the second half with the highlights and whatnot, let me know. I can give this another shot and go for it again. Or also, if you're interested, let me know soon, because the next match is on Thursday between the London Spitfire and the Washington Justice. But something else we can take a look at doing is, I have not watched the Paris-London match because I was at the watch party for Washington, so I did not get to see that yet. So I would be more than happy to take a look at that video as well and kind of go over some thoughts I have about the Washington-London match, the keys to victory, so to speak, for Washington, what they need to do, the things they need to correct from New York's game. I'd be more than happy to do that, but let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. Overall, not a bad showing for Washington Justice, everything considered. And what I mean by that is GOATS is not the meta for this team. It is their first game in the Overwatch League working together, and they had New York expose their biggest weaknesses. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that London's going to go, oh, we need to do this to win. I mean, Washington needs to go, oh, look, this was our mistake. This is why we didn't win. Let's not do this next time, and maybe we'll win. So in a good way, this match exposed the weaknesses Washington has so that they can fix it for next time. And then if we ever get out of this GOATS meta, we'll see I think the true potential of the Washington Justice. But for now, not a bad showing. I'm looking forward to this London-Washington match. Get to see more, get more exposed to what we're really working on. And I also did see a video of Wizard Hyung behind the scenes, I believe, on that Horizon match. He got pretty darn excited. So I feel like there's a lot of good stuff to take from this and a lot of learning material to take from this as well. And I am only looking forward to seeing more experience gained by these players, more team play, and hopefully a different meta. I think we'll get to see some really great things here from the Washington Justice. So let me know what else you want to see. We'll hopefully be back in the future with more of this.